In this video, I want to introduce the topic of religious ethics G572 by discussing the question, what do we mean by absolute and relative morality? Now, why I want to discuss this is because I think it introduces the whole unit as a whole, and it's something important that we have to know. In one of the exam papers, a question was discussed the differences between different absolutist types of morality, so you have to know this. In my next video, I'll go through the advantages of following an absolutist system and the advantages of following a relativist system, and obviously the advantages of one become the disadvantages of another because they're complete opposites. So let's start with absolutist morality. Now, this is when moral decisions are made with the conviction that there is an absolute principle that can be applied to every situation. From this, a moral law can be derived. For example, an absolute principle may be do not kill, and from this we can derive a moral law such as do not abort, because we may say that abortion is a form of murder. These theories are objective purely because they just hold no value for the person or the context, the situation. They're nothing. It's purely on the rules-based system. For the purposes of this module, you need to know that there are a few absolutist theories, and these are Kantian ethics, natural law, and some forms of Christian ethics. Now, we know Kantian ethics is an absolutist form of morality because in no situation will Kantian ethics allow someone to lie. Why wouldn't they allow someone to lie? Because it's false promising and it cannot be universalized because there will be chaos in the world. Natural law, in any form, you cannot allow contraception to be used. Why? Because it's defeating the purposes of the organs. That's why you cannot use contraception when you talk about natural law. And some forms of Christian ethics, for example, if you're following the Ten Commandments, the Decalogue, then you know that's absolute, because in all situations will you follow shall honor thy mother and thy father, do not steal, and all these things. You will follow it in your whole life, no matter what situation you're in. Relativist morality, on the other hand, is where decisions are made under the influence of cultural and sociological factors. Relativists depend on individual systems, and individual situations they depend on, and they're also subjective because they actually depend on the person, the situation, the individual. It's not really about rules, it's about the situation you find yourself in. And again, for the purposes of this module, you need to know that there are two types of relativist theories. The first is utilitarianism, because utilitarianism says the principle of utility, greatest pleasure for the greatest amount of good for the greatest number. So depending on each situation, you will weigh up how much pleasure is produced, and therefore you will come to the conclusion that which is a good action and which is a bad action. And some forms of Christian ethics, like situation ethics, it always says look at the situation and look at what is the most loving thing to do in that situation. So there are other forms, like you might say virtue theory, etc., but we're not going to look at that in this module. And I hope this video helps, and look at the next one for advantages and disadvantages.